Mushroom Trappist deadly spread. Humanity has always wanted to unveil some of the 4 Trappist exoplanets, very distant from planet Earth but with some similarities, smaller in size but with possible properties that would determine human colonization. Studies determined a rocky surface with mountains, as well as areas to be explored that would be covered by ice and water pockets on its surface. A new space research mission on this small planet in the Aquarius constellation is underway to collect minerals and possible vegetation, some form of organic life to be studied. The research and exploration project of the Trappist planet finally sent a team that, through the spacecraft, landed and set up its scientific base. The terrestrial expedition of the project in conjunction with Russia and the United States was led by American astronaut Meggy and Russian Nikolai. While Meggy provided assistance and studied all the research capture inside the base, Nikolai was on Trappist soil, exploring and collecting all possible data that could determine a future human life on this exoplanet. Meggy formulated a surface plan of the area, mapping a rocky location with ice and water, where there would be a greater chance of finding plant life. Nikolai slowly explored the entire area, noting all his discoveries and collecting all the mineral properties of the region. In the distance, he could see an area covered in ice, with tall mountains. He ventured through rocky terrain until he reached a difficult access point, which led to a possible water pocket. There could be some plant or organic life there that could signify a possible future colonization on the planet. Nikolai carefully walked into the unexplored and unknown area, reaching a place that seemed like a damp cave with low temperature. However, to his surprise, he discovered that there was indeed organic life. There were some types of plants on the surface, which he quickly collected samples of and returned happily with his discovery to his base and to meet Meggy, who was already remotely capturing all the studies done and celebrating the news. Upon arrival, Nikolai underwent complete disinfection to neutralize any viral and unknown properties upon entering his spacecraft. Meggy then took the samples and placed them in a small laboratory within the base, leaving all the collection isolated to conduct the initial research on the organism. Nikolai then returned for further research in the area, now heading towards the frozen area of the mountains. Among the rocks, he found that the location was very similar to Earth's glaciers. There he saw frozen water but did not discover other forms of life present. He explored the entire region during the few hours of sunlight. Meggy had reported to Nikolai that the initial research on the collected living organism posed no danger and that he could enter the base calmly as night had fallen and he needed rest to continue his exploration the next day. The Trappist planet, with an orbit of just over 4 hours, where its night quickly emerges, prompted Nikolai to prepare for his return, but a new communication from the scientific base by Meggy urgently called for him. She asked for his presence promptly. Upon arriving at the scientific base, Nikolai quickly entered without even disinfecting himself from his exploration of Trappist's terrain. He saw that the laboratory, which had previously been clean and disinfected, was now completely unrecognizable. The walls were covered with vegetation from the plant that was collected. The container where they were housed had been broken, and the plants had grown, resembling more of a forest full of exotic plants, which surely was full of fungi and bacteria. Meggy was in another isolated and unreachable sector. The base was beginning to malfunction, with some controls non-functional and the laboratory completely contaminated. Nikolai then programmed for the decontamination of the entire scientific sector of the base, entering the room where Meggy was and seeing the other catch fire and destroy the collected plants and research. When he tried to talk to Meggy, he saw that she was totally paralyzed, not speaking a single word, and that she had surely witnessed some anomaly of the plants inside the laboratory. Meggy lost her senses and left her unconscious, practically immobile. He quickly took her to the spacecraft and saw the base explode completely after a few minutes, putting an end to all exploration of the Trappist planet. He quickly contacted the project base on Earth, telling the whole story and passing on the mission data. The project had failed, with the base being exploded as a precaution against possible contamination of organic life, which was still unknown. Nikolai quickly put Meggie in a sector to lie down and under observation, applied antibiotics to become immune to possible fungi and recover. He piloted the spacecraft back to Earth but returned safely. The Trappist planet mission returned to Earth with total failure. Soon Meggie, stabilized and fully recovered, managed to land the mission spacecraft and sent a message to the project direction among the countries, determining that despite the catastrophe in exploration and the destruction of the scientific base, there was still another unhappy part of the mission regarding her partner Nikolai.
Besides the contamination of the base being totally extinguished, Nikolai ended up getting sick from unknown fungi and viruses, leading to his death, where he was then evacuated into space. I managed to neutralize myself and return safely with the spacecraft, but there were still some data about Trappist, but they are not decisive for future human colonization.
Seeing the Trappist mission go wrong, the countries concluded without any future projects for further exploration of the exoplanet. Meggie gained a few months to recover, staying in rest and spending time away from new space missions, resting at her countryside home, where she could better think about new research and calculate a better return to work. Occasionally, she contacted her leaders, passing on new data from her research and expanding her new project. Working with planting and discovering new organisms for their total proliferation and environmental development.
I had to get rid of Nikolai. He was hindering the entire invasion plan. I managed to land on planet Earth and pass on my version of the mission to its leaders. I found a great field here to proliferate our plants. Soon we will be able to establish new colonies from our Trappist planet.
Superfixer is a sci-fi short story channel serving as the catalyst for concepts about technology, science, the universe, and science fiction.